I truly don't think there's a more budget-friendly, sustainable way and creative way to tailor the perfect wardrobe to you than thrifting. Hello, welcome back to the channel, you guys. Today I'm sharing my vintage collection, walking you through all the pieces, my vintage gold, all those gems I found over the years. I am vintage obsessed, purely obsessed. If I could go thrifting every single day of my life, I would. I just find that there is always more, it's always magical, and I always feel extremely inspired. I'm hoping through this video, my love for vintage and secondhand shopping rubs off on you a little bit. I'm gonna share a ton of tips, sharing the methods to my madness to find things that actually fit my body, especially online, what types of secondhand stores you can find different things at, like the Goodwills to the Savos to the high-end vintage shops. So let's get into it. I'm also gonna be trying everything on so you can see the fits of these items. I truly don't think there's a more budget-friendly, sustainable way and creative way to tailor the perfect wardrobe to you than thrifting. Let's start. Let's start with the category that I feel like is the easiest gateway into thrifting, which is jackets. I think jackets really hold up well over time. And I also feel like because they're over top our other clothing, just because they're old and maybe smell a little bit funny, they're a bit easier to wear and they fit everyone, especially with an oversized fit. And my go-to at the thrift store is a denim jacket. You can always find one, especially in the men's section. That is the biggest thing you're gonna hear me say throughout this entire video is go to the men's section for those oversized fits, unless you're like a really petite woman. But for me, I'm always getting stuff in the men. What I love about this jacket is the wash of it. It's really unique, the stone wash, and it's actually dirty. And I like the dirt of it all. Like I really like the stains on things. Like I actually do buy things with stains and holes while vintage shopping. And you'll see that in really high-end designer brands. Often they have this really lovely worn, lived-in look, even soft to the touch, and has that really natural vintage look. If you just buy something old for cheap, you can get that for a very low cost. So yes, this is my favorite jacket. I feel very cool in it and it goes with everything. It just really works for me. I've had this one for about 3 years now. I got it at Bozeman Vintage down in Bozeman, Montana. So this is a big staple in my closet. And then next I want to share my leather jacket. This is another one you'll always find at the thrift store, also in the men's section. I feel like it's just these old man jackets that they're getting rid of. There's blazer styles, there's always trenches. I find that there's a huge surplus of leather. And leather in real life, buying it new is so expensive. You're not gonna find a $50 or $20 genuine leather jacket. And it holds up so nicely. And this is another fabric. Is leather a fabric? It's another fabric that just gets better with time. Like this is so buttery soft, and also it's oversized. This is a Goodwill jacket. Another amazing thing about leather jackets or any big oversized jacket is if you're having a down day, at least for me, I want to feel really protected and really strong. And for me, this just works with, again, any outfit. A black leather jacket, leggings or jeans, I throw it on and I instantly feel protected and cool and just a lot stronger. It really is my little armor here. The next place I always recommend people start in the thrift store that haven't thrifted before is in the men's button downs. Again, there's always a surplus there. There's always a huge selection, especially in white and blue. This has been my go-to favorite for a few years now. This is just from a regular church, like charity shop. And most of these things are just a couple bucks, right? Sometimes at Goodwill and Salvo in major cities now, things do cost a bit more, but for me, it's better to buy something secondhand. I feel better about it in my gut. And it also just is cheaper than buying the fast fashion option. Even if it's a comparable price, you can get better quality at the thrift store because the vintage pieces, the older items, are actually made with better stitching, better finishes, and they just last. And the great thing about button downs is that anyone can wear it, anyone can pull it off, and you can style it so many ways, super girly, tied up, cropped. You can button it all the way up and tuck it into your jeans for more of like a Western or like a Ralph Lauren, more polished look. You can wear it just wide open to the beach with a little crop top. I do that look all the time. And it's kind of a little jacket substitute or like a cardigan substitute when it's a little bit breezier. This is my go-to. So I have this one and I have one other white one that's not technically vintage in my closet, but I wear these all summer long. And this one, I love the color. I love the pinstripe. It's part of my color analysis. I'm a bright spring, and I just think the color looks really nice with my complexion, and so I feel good in it. So my button down. The next category is t-shirts, and this is well, it's really my only t-shirt that's vintage right now, and it's my favorite. I wear it all the time. I really like a red, white, and blue moment. This is my Babe Ruth t-shirt. I love finding vintage tees, graphic tees that are hyper specific to where I live, what I'm interested in. When I was younger, I feel like in my 20s, I wore so many like random ones that I just thought were like ironic and funny. I feel like I don't go for as crazy of like graphic tees now for like what they have on them, but there's nothing more corny to me and like dorky than wearing the graphic tee from Target or from Urban Outfitters. That's like the mainstream one. I will say sometimes they do look cool. I feel like right now it's a lot of like Von Dutch and different things, and I love those, but if it's not actually vintage, it's just, again, corny to me. So I like finding my own screen tees. Again, this one's super oversized and soft. If you can find a super worn and soft tee, usually at the vintage shops, they're like 80 to 100 bucks. The really thin ones with holes that are sheared out, those ones are really, really nice, but they're hard to find. But you can always just wear your own shirt a ton and get it to that point. I'm getting there with this one. You can see a little bit the holes developing on the neckline there, which I do like in a vintage tee. You know what I should do for a video? I should try to distress t-shirts to get them to that vintage state. I'm sure there's a lot of methods. Obviously there's like the bleach and the sandpaper of it all, but who knows? Anyway, this is one of my favorite t-shirts. I think it's such a score. This was from the old men section, again, at that church charity shop. I got it in my $5 bag, little plastic bag you fill up for $5. I love it. I will say, like, the Goodwill versus the Savo versus the local shops, I think mostly local shops have the best deals, but I think the Goodwills and the Savos have always more selection. Like, you're gonna have a better bet trying to find something specific at those bigger ones, but often I think that they're overpriced, and sometimes they're a little bit picked over. I do love finding the church shops and the places that have kind of like an older staff of employees. They're really not trying to be really strict about things. And you can always ask for a deal too. I recently asked an employee at a thrift shop to come down on a price of a skirt that I'm gonna show you because I felt like it was too high, and they worked with me on it. So if you're at a smaller shop, you can always negotiate a little bit. And at a vintage shop, or if you're at a stall at like a flea market, there's such good vintage there. You can always haggle a little bit with those people. I typically don't, because I know how hard it is to find good vintage out shopping. Like, I really do believe in a buyer's fee. Like, they need to be paid on what they're finding. If you went to the thrift stores for months and months, you're not gonna find that good of stuff. They find it because they're always looking, and it's just the cost of doing business, and they don't really make a lot of money. Like, resellers, vintage lovers, you do it for the love of the craft of it and the joy of the hunt. They really have a small margin line, and so I don't need to take $5 away from them. But if I do buy multiple things, that's when they usually will offer a discount, or I'll ask for one. Okay, let's move on to the next section. Knitwear. This specific fabulous sweater is actually from a vintage store here in Whitefish. It's 100% cotton. That's my favorite kind of sweater. And I never used to look at material tags when I shopped when I was younger, especially with fast fashion and new items. But as I've shifted away from new clothes and just buying all vintage, I always am looking at the tag. So 100% cotton is always good. Any just natural fiber is basically just stay away from polyester. Polyester is okay, but just for like one night out with a fashion piece. But if you're wearing it all day long and really wearing things, it's just so not breathable. Anyway, I love this sweater. I think it's unique with the cable knit and the bright colors. It's very cheerful. Like, I feel like my style is playful and feminine and flirty, but also very like collegiate and sporty mixed in there. So this really represents me, and I feel like it's so important to have pieces in your wardrobe that really represent you, that have the essence of you, like in the threads. And that's how I feel about this sweater. It is just the perfectly me sweater at this moment. I do find there's less and less good knitwear at the thrift stores these days. Maybe that was one of the first products to switch over to more synthetic fibers, or maybe it's just more of a coveted item, but they can be a bit hard to find. My recommendation for good knitwear is actually buying secondhand online on Poshmark, or wherever you like to do your secondhand shopping online. The other big ones, thredUP. Haven't had the best experiences with thredUP. I did talk about that in a video. I did an unboxing. I had a huge thredUP flop on a few items, so I'm not gonna be shopping thredUP. And then Depop, a lot of people like Depop. I just like Poshmark because I'm comfortable there and I've had success there buying and selling. But yes, go to the men's section. Once again, the men's section of Poshmark. I feel like there's so few men's shoppers versus women on Poshmark. And so there's really good come ups to be had in the sweater department, especially like oversized ones. If you look up like 1X, 2X, 3X sweaters, I have a great J. Crew 3X cashmere sweater that was new. I got for like 30 or 40 bucks. That's fantastic. The new is, 100, 150. So go to the men's section, check it out, search 100% cotton. I'm often looking at those keywords when I'm searching online on Poshmark. 100% cotton, genuine leather, 100% silk. you get the picture. Next, we're talking dresses, slip dresses. I'm obsessed with dresses. It's the first place I go typically in the thrift store because I just want to see what's there is the most exciting to me. I feel amazing in a dress. And I specifically love silky dresses, slip dresses. Also the lingerie section, even though there's a lot of like gross pajamas and old bras and things, if you just sift through there, you can come up on a lot of great little nighties, shorties, slips. I feel like there's such great trends right now with like the bloomers and the slip skirts, but I'll show you my slip dress. So this is my favorite slip dress, this beautiful long one. I love this navy. It's part of my color analysis. It's supposed to be a better fit for my coloring than like a black or a stark white. Washes me out a little bit. And the navy is nice. It's a little bit lighter than a navy. It's kind of like a denim blue, but it's just stunning. And I probably found this, I think in the lingerie section, definitely got it on Poshmark. It's 100% silk. It might've been through a 100% silk search, but yeah, couldn't recommend more searching the fabrics themselves. And this one just is so cool. It goes with everything. You guys know how to style a slip dress, but this one I wear around the house just as a nightie. I wear it out on date nights. I've worn it to like more fancy events, and it just works and works and works for me. So that's my slip dress. And then this one is really cool. This is a newer one that I have. This one is gorgeous. I feel like this is the dress, the style of dress that a lot of newer dresses this summer and last summer are trying to replicate, but this one's actually 90s vintage. It's a British brand. Let me take a peek. Frank Usher is what it's called. I was reading about it. It came out after World War II with more like ready to wear. It's this bright pink Barbie fuchsia color with these orange polka dots, and this sheer neckline with the cowl neck and the little tie back is just really, really sweet. And it has a cool lettuce hem at the bottom. It's just girly and interesting, and it fits me super, super nicely. So yes, this is new from this summer, and I found this one on Poshmark, most likely through a silk search. And obviously there's also a lot of expensive silk dresses on Poshmark, so I always adjust a ton of filters on there to get hyper specific for what I'm looking for. I do find that the little filter they have that you can click on that says relevance, like what's most relevant to your search, that works really well. And then I always adjust like the price range there. Another thing I do if I find an item I really like, this is less for vintage and more contemporary brands, is I will find it. Let's say someone has it listed for $100, like a Free People thing. What I'll do is I'll go and try to find that item from another listing, but they didn't list like the product name, like the Harper mini dress. Instead, I'll go into mini dresses. I'll search yellow if that's what I'm looking for, and I'll just scroll and see if some random person has it listed without like the name or any descriptive words. And you may find it for like 15 bucks when the other listings were like 100 bucks. So that's my other tip there. But yes, my beautiful silk dresses, I feel amazing in them, and this is something I always thrift over and over again. These are my favorites right now. So technically I should have included these in the jacket section, but they're kind of their own little thing. It's blazers. Blazers are such a big one at the thrift store in the men's section again. Usually it's black, it's gray, it's navy, but these two are actually women's blazers that I'm gonna share with you today, and these are newer ones. I got these both at a vintage shop, so pre-curated obviously. This one is polyester. Every once in a while I'll say yes to polyester if I love it enough. And it's about the fit for me on this one. I love the cropness of it, the sleeves, the crop at the bottom. It's probably just for more petite women. The brand is Algene of Canada. You can see the tag here. It's just super old and cool looking. And the gold details here are really sweet. I'm into the preppy look, like I said. I just think it's great. I love a more tailored look like this, paired with super distressed denim, with some jean shorts, with some jeans, something really cash. Also without a shirt underneath, like leaving it unbuttoned and having a little V there. I like the open chest, something unexpected. Also even like a high neck. Nothing in between, I guess. Nothing. Or the high neck looks really cool. I think a lot of leg with this. It's just cute. This is one of my favorite things for summer right now. And then this is probably my favorite vintage piece at the moment. It is awesome. I haven't done the floral a lot in the past, and I'm getting back into the floral and finding my way with it. As you can see, I'm wearing this really cool robe caftan right now. This brand, Nana collection, like what is Nana? I don't know what it is, but I love it. The detailing is really sweet on this one. You can see the pearls coming down here in this sweet little ribbon, and just the fit and flare of the waistline here with these little pleats. It's sweet, and I think the colors are perfect. They're my spring colors, and the pearl button here is great. I just feel so cool in this. I wore it to a wedding. I've been wearing it with jeans. I actually can't believe how much I'm reaching for it. I think partially because it is a really, really nice fabric and just a good structure. So One of my favorites is a statement piece. I think it's fun to get those statement pieces also at the thrift store, at the vintage shop. They just, to me, feel more authentic than a statement piece from Zara that everyone else has, right? It's just super one of a kind. The next thing I wanted to share with you guys, this is an amazing piece that I got in the last few months. I got this in Banff in Canada at a pop-up shop from this vintage seller from Toronto. And it's these painter overalls, these Carhartt ones. They're authentic vintage and they are just the coolest thing ever. I love all the details. I love the red stitching and just the fit could not be better. The fit is what sold me on these. I actually had a different pair of coveralls that were great. They were Wrangler or Lee, one of those brands. It was like a full jumpsuit. And just with the jumpsuit, I feel like the fit has to be a teeny bit better and more tailored, and those ones just didn't quite fit right. So I let them go, but had been wanting to replace them in some way. I also had let my last pair of denim overalls go, and I knew if I let them free, I would find something else. I'm pretty big on karma, not really with relationships in life, but when it comes to thrifting and just like materials moving through the world, I really feel like if you leave good things that aren't perfect for you at the thrift store, you're leaving them for someone who really wants and needs them. And so I felt this way about these overalls. I let my old ones go and then these ones came into my life and they're just absolutely perfect. Am I crazy about the thrifting karma? Who else feels that way? It just feels like the right thing to do. I'm definitely like a good Samaritan of the thrift store. I don't hoard and I keep it moving. Next, I want to share my denim collection. I am big on vintage denim. I actually have all vintage jeans right now, no contemporary stuff, and they're pretty much all Levi's. Actually, I think every single pair is. And for me, with the jeans, with vintage sizing, it's so different from modern sizing. You really can't depend on the size on the tag. So how do you find stuff that fits? You've heard so many tricks, at least I have, putting the waistband around your neck, seeing if that fits. That one works okay if you're in a pinch. But for me, what I learned and now works like perfectly turnkey every single time is knowing my measurements. And I just use lay flat measurements. So knowing the across measurement of the waistband, the rise, and your inseam. Those three things I memorized for myself. Now I know them. And if I buy anything really right on those measurements, the jeans always fit. They fit perfect. And I'm buying them sight unseen just from random places on Poshmark. And it's kind of nice because a lot of times people stay away from vintage jeans on secondhand sites because they don't think they're gonna fit. They don't know and you can't return them there. But if you know your measurements, it works. So how you find your measurements is measuring jeans you already have. Seems really simple, but if you've never measured yourself or looked at measurements, it can be a little bit overwhelming when you're diving into vintage jeans. Once you have those numbers, even measure a few pairs of your jeans and maybe like average those out. It kind of depends on the style you're looking for. But again, now I know my measurements and I've ordered so many pairs online and they just always fit perfect. And I feel like I have this secret to life. And I get often really good vintage jeans for like 20 or 30 bucks that look like really, really nice pairs. So I wanted to share all the pairs that I'm wearing right now. This pair I actually found off the rack at the Goodwill, my favorite pair at the moment. It's a Levi's 550 jean, and they're just great. It's a nice kind of stone wash, mid wash, and I really like the tapered effect on the leg. These ones are really cool. This is my, again, go-to fave. I got those for probably $3 to $5. The next pair I have, and you'll see I really like a mid wash to a light wash. I know the really dark denim is big at the moment. It's just not a trend I'm into for myself. I'm not loving it. I do think it looks chic and elegant, but I like that more beachy, like lived-in look. So that's just me. So these are also 550s. So I guess I love the 550s. It's described as a relaxed fit with a tapered leg. And this pair, these are quite distressed. Like this pocket's a little bit out of control and then the knee holes down here. I also got those from that Toronto seller that I saw on my vacation in Banff. These ones are really, really good. This is my only holy pair. I feel like I've gotten away from the holes. And then this pair is a little more blue, like sky blue into the light mid wash. And this pair actually, it does not have a tag. I looked inside. I do not know the style of this pair. They're a bit more straight leg. It doesn't have the tapered. I know a lot of people say the 501, they like ride for the 501. It's incredible. I've tried on a lot of different pairs. I tried the 501. I'm not totally stuck on the 501. That's just me. I feel like it's just more about your measurements than anything, if that makes sense. Like I've tried on a lot of 501s that all fit different and look like different styles of jeans. I think it just depends on like the generation. It's hard to read the Levi's tags. I even know them pretty well and I'll do quite a bit of Googling and reverse image searching. And sometimes I can't figure out what year it is. One thing I do love, and a lot of denim lovers love, is the button fly. The button fly is cool. You never get the XYZ thing happening. But this is the pair I probably feel most confident in at the moment. The other ones were a little bit more tapered and sexy. This one is just like strapped in and ready for anything. And the next pair I wanted to share, these are a little bit more of a sexy jean, also very, very vintage, this old tag. It's the 501s. So these are 501s, but it's funny because these don't fit that different than my 550s. Maybe a little bit more cigarette style, but that's not what the 501's known for, so it's interesting. I love a really washed out kind of charcoal color denim. These ones are really, really cool. They're very tight. These are my sexy jeans. I'll wear these out for like drinks and different things. They're a little tight on the waist for like the regular day-to-day, but those are really, really good. And then my last pair of jeans, vintage jeans I'm wearing right now, are another pair of light wash, straight leg, Ursina theme. I'm at the point in life where I know what works on my body. I know what I like the look of. It's like a little hint of the boyfriend jean, but still fitted and sexy. I feel like the cute fit on the butt is the important thing. And then for me, it's also the length because I'm so tall. And then one interesting part of this jean, which I feel like some people wouldn't want them for this reason, is that they have a rust stain on the thigh. Can you see this right here? The thing with this stain and why I kind of like them, if it's not an ugly stain, it just makes them feel lived in, of course, but I don't feel afraid to wear them and stain them myself. Like, it's all part of their story and they just are gonna get stuff on them naturally. That's part of wearing clothes and living life in them. And just nothing makes me feel cooler than jeans, even more so than the leather jacket. These make me feel a little more comfortable and definitely really, really like myself. The next thrift gold I wanted to share, this is from Poshmark. These are Allen Edmonds men's loafers. I want to say I paid 30 or 40 for them. Usually these loafers cost like 200 bucks, maybe even 300 to 500 depending on the pair. I forget this exact style. I was like, it says it's the Maxfield, but these are such quality, nice shoes. They are stunning. They have cushions inside. They're real leather and they're just fantastic. So if you have bigger feet like me, I wear a women's 11, I can easily get away with wearing men's shoes. That's another place I look for shoes. I think half of my thrifted stuff, including the jeans. I wear men's jeans a lot of times. I have a very straight up and down body, so it works for me. If you're really curvy, probably like the waist to the thighs and the hips for the denim won't work for you, but for me they do. But I feel like that's also part of knowing your measurement. For me, I don't have to know my hip measurement because I don't really have any hips. But these shoes are a favorite of mine. I got them last year, not knowing if I'd really reach for them a lot, and I wear them multiple times a week. They're kind of my quick slide-ons when I'm leaving the house, and they really make any outfit really cool and really me. I love them. The last vintage gem I wanted to share is this Dooney & Bourke bag. This bag is so wonderful. It's a good mix of like the trend of a hobo kind of like oversized tote bag, but also quite timeless. The lobster claw with the silver is beautiful. And I just love this color. I've done black so much. All of my bags have been black. My main purse, I just keep one at a time. So this is the only bag I own other than like grocery totes. I do use like canvas, cool canvas totes, you know, to go out with my kids if I have more stuff I need to bring. But this is my day-to-day, this little thing here. And actually I found this bag at like an antique shop at kind of an old funky antique mall in town, and it's really nice. The interior is cool. It's this really fine like red and white, not checkered but sort of checkered, and even the tag inside is really cool and old. And I got this for I think $30 or $40. It's just awesome. And I went and looked at new Dooney & Bourke bags on their website, and they are beautiful. They are cool. I really like this brand. It feels classic in a really nice way, but just having the vintage bag feels better to me. And I'm very big on like the feeling of what I'm wearing in my clothes. And again, having that story and just not having anything that's too precious. Like a $40 Dooney & Bourke bag, I'm fine like throwing it down. I'm trying to get my kids in the car and I'm flustered. I can set this on the pavement. I'm again, just not going to be precious about it. That's my vintage collection, you guys. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me as I told you about all my different pieces and shared a ton of thrifting, secondhand shopping tips. Like I said, I'm obsessed with secondhand shopping. There's nothing better. I love having those unique pieces, and there's no more affordable way to get a collection of clothing perfectly tailored to you and your own personal style that's so creative on that budget. It's just the best thing. I don't know what I would do without it. It really is a huge part of my life, and it brings me so much joy and so much creativity, and I just love exploring myself and trying on different clothes, literally, figuratively, and just having so much fun with the process. So I hope you had fun watching this video. Let me know in the comments any of your thrifting tips or tricks, anything from things you can search on Poshmark online or the real, any tips there, to garage sailing, to estate sales. I don't do a ton of garage sales and estate sales these days. I just make my thrift store rounds, but any salvo recommendations, Goodwill recommendations, any other hot spots or certain sections of the thrift store you find to be really good. And support your resellers, because they really do the dirty work of getting in there. It takes a long time sifting through the racks to find the good stuff, and it does take someone's special eye to see the beauty in those things. Because when you're in the thrift store, if you're not a thrifting person, it smells gross, it's kind of gross, and it's overwhelming, and like, what? So many people in my life are like, I don't like going there at all. But for me, I feel alive in the thrift store, and I feel like myself, and I feel so optimistic just generally, which is a lot. It's intense. But if you love clothes like me, you love vintage like me and thrifting, then you probably feel the same way, and you probably enjoyed the video. So I'll catch you in my next one. I have so many other closet videos, styling videos, loving thrifted, loving vintage. It's good. All right, my little ones just got home from their hike with my husband. My solo time is done. I'll see you next time. Bye.